All right, man, peace. So now this up-and-coming NBA season is going to be a pivotal one for Mr. Kyrie Irving of the Boston Celtics. As we all know, he had a very successful season last year prior to being injured, and his team was extremely successful. As a matter of fact, they did far better than many of the initial prognosticators had expected. So, of course, with this up-and-coming season, presumably Kyrie Irving will be fully healthy. He claims that the procedure that he had on his knee was a success despite some very potentially serious complications that occurred while they were trying to repair his knee. But as we all know, the expectations for the Boston Celtics will be that they will reach the NBA Finals. And if they don't reach the NBA Finals, this season will be a disappointment, because last season without Kyrie Irving, they won 7 games in the Eastern Conference Finals and lost to LeBron James. As we all know, the specter of LeBron James will no longer be hovering over the Eastern Conference. So it should be like the Wild Wild West in the Eastern Conference. It's going to be open season. And there are going to be at least 4 or 5 teams that will come into next season believing that they have a real chance to get to the finals. Teams like Boston, Toronto, Philadelphia, Milwaukee, Indiana, Washington, they all rightfully believe that they have a chance to get to the finals. So we're going to find out. And in addition to that, we know that there are rumblings that Kyrie Irving is considering possibly leaving the Boston Celtics after this year and moving on to the New York Knicks. So in order for him to justify or substantiate this notion that he can be a prime mover on an NBA team, he has to at least get to the finals this year with the Celtics. So of course, they're going to talk about it, and I'm going to chime in.
Now, LeBron's former teammate, Kyrie Irving, was at USA Basketball yesterday, revealing a lot of difficult details about his recovery from his knee injury. Talked about how he had a catheter inserted into one of the veins that goes into his heart to get the medication in. They were worried about his infection mutating into a staph infection, so a lot of stuff going there. But he did also add he will, quote, easily be ready for training camp. He was excited about leading the Celtics. What do you think the ceiling is for a healthy Kyrie next season?
The ceiling is going to be Kyrie Irving as the NBA MVP, his team winning the most games in the NBA regular season, and winning the championship. That's how they have to approach this up-and-coming season.
Look, Kyrie at one point last year was an early MVP candidate. So I think that's his ceiling, right? Especially if he takes it upon himself to assert himself even more so on the defensive end, which
I don't believe that Kyrie Irving has to assert himself any more on the defensive end than he did last year. Kyrie's never going to be a defensive stopper. He's never going to be Mike Conley or Chris Paul. But as long as he knows where he's supposed to be on the floor, he knows his assignment, he'll be okay. We know what he's going to bring to the table offensively. Anywhere from 24 to 27 points per game. He's going to shoot somewhere near 50% from the field. And he's going to be an incredible finisher. Not just at the basket, but also in the fourth quarter. That's what he's going to bring. So he does not need to be a defensive stopper.
Which we saw a little more of, I think, because the Celtics were the best defense. But I know the numbers will say they were way better when he was off the floor. But I think if he takes that upon himself, I think he can be a legitimate MVP candidate year in and year out.
Oh, I think we're talking about like Italian cathedral ceilings.
Really?
They really
Okay.
vaulted. A couple reasons. I mean, number one is the space on the floor in Boston for a guy who is...
Now, as we can see with Kyrie here, he has the Buddhist prayer beads on his right hand. He also tends to wear all black. He clearly is, in my view, one of Kobe Bryant's initiates. And I also believe that one of the main reasons why Kobe Bryant has the detail series is so that he could throw little lines out to many of the younger players in the NBA, like a Jason Tatum, a Donovan Mitchell, so that they can seek out not only his instruction on the basketball floor, but that will also open up portals for Kobe Bryant to instruct them on many of the spiritual aspects to quote-unquote winning, so that they can seek out their spirit guide. That's how that master-apprentice dynamic works. But once again, Kyrie's in all black. He most likely is a Saturnian as well.
whose specialty is getting to the rim and finishing. I mean, he is going to have these wide Autobahn lanes to the hole, and that's going to be great.
Right.
And the other thing regarding the defense is, for whatever reason, we've seen this in Boston actually in the previous era with Ray Allen, like guys who were considered defensive liabilities, for whatever reason, whatever system it is they do.
Now, this is the Boston Celtics' potential quote-unquote starting lineup. I don't see this being the starting lineup. I think that Gordon Hayward is going to have to compete with either Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown for the starting spot, either at the 2 or the 3, most likely the 3. And I think that it's going to be a very fevered competition because Gordon's not big enough to play the 4. He's just not. This could be a small lineup, maybe in the fourth quarter, but Gordon Hayward starting full-time at the 4 position in the NBA, I just don't see it. So I think that there is going to be a competition between Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Gordon Hayward to see who gets the most minutes playing the 2 and or the 3. And of course, Marcus Morris is going to be getting some time at the 4 spot.
The team is able to limit their shortcomings. So, I mean, are we at the period where, Kyrie is no longer, he's not going to be an all-defensive player, but he's not the vulnerability, he doesn't present the vulnerabilities he used to because the system works.
Absolutely, because they're actually playing a real system and not the LeBron James system.
And we saw that with James Harden a little bit, right? I mean, James Harden, we used to joke about his defense. There was the YouTube clips and whatnot. And he became a more capable defender here over the last couple of years. And I think Kyrie can continue to do that.
System.
Well, James Harden also became a better defender as they got better players on his team to help him play defense. James Harden is an example of a player that, quite frankly, had way too many responsibilities. And he was trying to take on too many responsibilities unto himself. And what a great coach does is he tells his best player, this is what we need from you and this is how we're going to help you, so that you can ease his mind. Because oftentimes when someone has too many responsibilities, they don't know where to start. And they end up becoming derelict in many other aspects of their game.
Systems matter.
I'm curious about the sort of dynamics within the team because obviously when he first came there last year, Gordon Hayward got hurt a few minutes in, right? So really for most of the season, it was his team, which by the way is part of what he came to Boston for. He wanted that. There were so many young players on that team who rightly looked up to him. Then he has to leave for the knee surgeries and everything. And those young players really grew into their own by leaps and bounds to the point that now there are people in Boston. Who's the best player on this team? We can't, they're having arguments about Jason.
Well, that's just a silly statement. Jason Tatum is a player on the come up, but the best player on their team is Kyrie Irving, and it's not particularly close.
Jason Tatum and Kyrie, where do you think the dynamics are going to sit within the... I don't look at me. I'm not part of Celtics Twitter. Go ahead.
Hey, look.
What do you think the inter-team dynamics
All right, so for the young guys, Brown and Tatum, when they see the shots they're going to get when defenses collapse on Kyrie,
right,
they are going to be bowing down at the altar of Kyrie.
And besides that, the hierarchy is still going to be Kyrie Irving. At the end of the day, the Boston Celtics had a great playoff run last season, but Kyrie Irving went to 3 straight NBA Finals, 2015, 2016, and 2017. That's what he was able to accomplish. He was able to hit pretty much the game-winning shot in a 7-game series back in 2016. So none of those players have gotten anywhere near that quite yet.
I just think winning cures all. I've never been somebody who believes that, are there enough basketballs? Right. Just too much talent on a team just doesn't really concern me in the NBA.
Yeah, I think, though, to your point, Rachel, when you have young guys,
right,
the theory is young guys want to get their own, right? Because they want to get paid. They want to get all these things that come with being a young, good basketball player. When you have a guy like Gordon Hayward, particularly, though, I think he's a bigger impediment, right?
I agree, which is why I'm kind of surprised that I did not hear more rumblings of the Celtics trying to move a Gordon Hayward. But I guess that it would be very difficult to be able to move him and bring back anything commensurate coming off of the devastating injury that he suffered last season. So maybe they're going to allow him to play out the first half of this season and then try to move him at the All-Star break for somebody big. I guess we'll have to wait and find out.
Potentially Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum. I mean, the minutes, you're going to have to stagger those and kind of figure those out. There's probably going to be an odd man out in the sense of they're going to get a significant amount of minutes reduced, right?
Absolutely. There has to be an odd man out. That's why I state that the preseason and also training camp is going to be a proving ground for Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Gordon Hayward. But I suspect especially Jaylen Brown and Gordon Hayward, because I don't think that there's any way that they're going to take Jason Tatum out of the lineup unless he's shown some type of degeneration from what we saw last season in his rookie campaign. And from what I see and understand, he's training with Kobe Bryant out there in LA. So I doubt that we're going to see any type of degeneration. As a matter of fact, I expect to see a marked improvement.
right? So that's, I think, the stuff that you have to be concerned about if you're Brad Stevens. The amount of talent, sure as hell would concern me.
I think you've got Morris's minutes that can go, and don't forget, Hayward is essentially going to be almost a ball handling four at times.
Yeah.
I just think there's going to be plenty of
I think he'll be a ball handling 4 against small teams, particularly in the fourth quarter.
pie.
Yeah, and obviously Brad Stevens is going to be expert at doling all of that.
Yeah.
Celtics fans, by the way, if you are worried, we have not mentioned Terry Rozier's name in this conversation. Don't worry. Nick DePaul is coming up later in the show. We're going to talk about Terry and Puma, so it's coming. It's okay.
Nobody cares about Terry Rozier and his Puma contract. Hopefully the brother's able to get good money on the basketball court after he shows that he can be an impact player this season. Ain't nobody worried about his Puma contract, but God bless the brother, though. That's basically it on this video regarding Kyrie Irving and what his ceiling is. Hopefully the brother's able to stay healthy for the entire season. So peace.